Good evening and thank you for joining us. COVID-19 numbers seem to be heading in the right direction across northwestern Ontario.
Cases declined over the weekend in both the Thunder Bay District Health Unit and the Northwestern Health Unit, and the caseload at the regional hospital is down slightly as well. 23 COVID-19 patients being treated at the Regional Health Sciences Centre. 6 of them are in the ICU. That number is down from 9 on Friday. The overall hospital occupancy rate is now 101%, and the intensive care unit is 77% full. The Thunder Bay District Health Unit is reporting 101 new cases over the weekend, and the number of active cases has fallen to 156. That's 30 fewer than there were on Friday. Meanwhile, the number of active cases in the Northwestern Health Unit has also fallen significantly, dropping over the weekend from 259 to 138. The vast majority of those cases come from the Sioux Lookout Health Hub. There are 113 infections there, or 82% of the NWHU's total. And the test positivity rate has dipped to 19.1%. Some big changes impacting Ontario long-term care homes came into effect today. As COVID-19 restrictions ease, some of the youngest residents can now visit their grandparents inside. And as Colin DeMello tells us, there are also changes to the vaccination requirements for staff.
For the better part of the past 2 years, residents in long-term care have faced sustained pandemic protections, from being restricted to their rooms to having limited access to family and friends.
They need to see people, right? Love is such an important component of just coming back to life.
Today, for the first time, many of those visitation restrictions were finally dropped.
We used to actually do like Zoom calls and stuff. Didn't really feel the same. Now I can actually see her, like hug her and stuff.
Beginning today, children under the age of 5 can once again visit a long-term care home. The number of visitors per resident will increase to 4, and all residents can have overnight social absences regardless of their vaccination status. But the changes bring new concerns because as of today, the province also dropped the mandatory vaccination policies in long-term care, leaving nursing homes in charge of their own policies.
I do think that a lot of our homes are going to be keeping their mandatory vaccine policies and monitoring the situation as we go forward in the coming weeks.
The major worry is the highly transmissible subvariant of Omicron, which has led to new restrictions in other parts of the world. Right now, Ontario long-term care homes are in the stabilization phase, focusing on resident safety and adequate levels of staffing. But advocates say the province has to be nimble.
We can't take the hands completely off the wheel. We need to be ready to respond. And that means keeping up enhanced cleaning, keeping vaccine mandates in place, lessening restrictions while we can, but being ready to pivot if we need to.
One of the major differences between today and the spring of 2020 is the relationship long-term care homes now have with hospitals. The Ontario Long-Term Care Association says they feel pretty confident about future waves of COVID-19 because local public health units and hospitals have a plan in place in case of an outbreak. Still, long-term care homes are looking to the province to financially shore up nursing homes.
Whether that's for personal protective equipment, ongoing surveillance and screening, testing, we need to make sure our homes continue to be prioritized for tests.
Advocates say the province needs to prepare ahead of the fall.
The Ontario government has announced more than $750,000 for Thunder Bay's nurse practitioner-led clinic. The money is addressed hallway health care, providing more patients with primary care services. Meanwhile, that clinic on Archibald Street will also host Ontario's leader of the official opposition. Andrea Horvath is set to discuss long wait times in health care at a media event tomorrow. Despite the fact that Ontario is set to drop its mask mandate next Monday, Lakehead University is sticking with its current masking policy for at least the rest of the semester. Lakehead is legally autonomous, meaning that it has the power to decide mandates on its own campuses. The council that represents all Ontario universities did recently speak to Ontario's Chief Medical Officer of Health about masks. The two sides agreed to recommend that masks stay in place to limit disruptions. The decision will be reevaluated after the semester. Lakehead University COVID-19 Transition Committee chose to adopt the stance after assessing the impact on students and on their staff.
The COVID-19 crystal ball is broken, and we're not sure what's going to happen next. So at the moment, the mandatory vaccination policies are in place until the end of the winter. Whether that moves into the spring summer semester or beyond is still in question.
Meanwhile, Confederation College has yet to make a final decision on masking.
Well, the federal government is investing more than $3.6 million in Thunder Bay's airport. The bulk of the funds will cover infrastructure and equipment improvements. Jessica Clement has the details.
Thunder Bay MPs Marcus Pulowski and Patty Hajdu delivered the good news. Transport Canada is investing $1.7 million to help maintain airport operations and essential air services, as well as $395,000 to purchase a snowplow and runway ice sweeper. That comes in addition to $12.4 million already announced. FedNor is providing $1.5 million to upgrade the HVAC system, lighting, and replacing 2 aging escalators. Airport President Ed Schmidtke says the funding is a big help towards the future of the airport.
It helps us prepare for the future as things start to get back to normal. We're still bumping around 40% of pre-pandemic numbers. We're a long way off from what things used to look like here at the airport. So getting some liquidity assistance, getting some assistance to help us reduce our utility expenses, these are important as we figure out what the new normal is going to look like.
Hajdu, the minister responsible for FedNor, says that any improvements to physical safety features is valuable.
Well, I think anything that we can do that's looking at the physical structure of our buildings to reduce contact of individuals with viruses, COVID or other viruses, would that help maintain the cleanliness of surfaces and other kinds of high frequency touch areas is helpful for any organization.
Pulowski states receiving this funding not only enhances safety for travelers, but it also helps bring money into the Thunder Bay community.
I was part of the idea of our infrastructure spending coming out of COVID, that we had to stimulate the economy, and something like this, which provides both short-term jobs in terms of having to do the work, but also long-term jobs in that people are employed in the airport is kind of a win-win situation.
Jessica Clement, TVT News.
Well, a big local story today. The province has announced $3.8 million in funding for addiction treatment supports in the Thunder Bay area, creating 34 new treatment beds. Michael Tabolo, the Associate Minister of Mental Health and Addictions, visited Fort William First Nation today to make the announcement. Lee Noonan has the details.
What that means is that we will be providing 34 new treatment beds in Thunder Bay.
The bulk of the $3.8 million of funding will go to Daliko Anishinaabeg Family Care to create 20 supportive treatment beds. Fort William First Nation Chief Peter Collins has a personal connection to the issue. He spoke about the need in his community for a continuum of care, including post-detox aftercare, and the importance of having beds available immediately when someone seeks help.
My nephew who recently lost his life in the city, he wanted a detox. He was ready for a treatment program, but there was no beds open for him, and we lost him. He ended up losing his life.
St. Joseph's Care Group is part of a coalition of 6 agencies who will be receiving $1.1 million of this funding. Kelly O'Brien, president and CEO, emphasized the importance of collaboration between service agencies.
Not one organization can work alone to deliver care so complex across a continuum for individuals with addictions and mental health. So working with partner agencies like Community Mental Health Association, with Crossroads, with Norwest Community Center, it actually allows us to get better value for the funding that we receive. We work together, we define who can deliver what, who has what resource that they're able to give in kind, etc. So it actually enables us to be way more effective with planning.
Tabolo estimated that the 34 new beds would mean 400 to 500 treatment spots over the course of the year. He explains that the funding comes as part of a series of announcements for addictions treatment funding across Northern Ontario, with the aim of decreasing the number of people who would have to travel to service hubs like Thunder Bay to access services.
So what we did was we calculated what the bed needs would be across the province, whether it's Sioux Lookout, Timmins, to try to keep people closest to home for supports. And again, the reason for that is the closer to home you are when you get your treatment, the higher the success rate.
Service providers and stakeholders in attendance at today's announcement agreed that this was an important step forwards and good news for the city. However, they added, there is much work yet to be done. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
City officials are still waiting to hear back regarding their latest federal funding request for an indoor turf facility. Councillors will receive an update on that during this evening's meeting at City Hall. The report being presented by city staff recommends that the project remain on pause in the meantime. Thunder Bay is still waiting on the response from the Infrastructure Canada after the city applied for more than $22 million in funding. If approved, that would cover about half the cost of the design and construction, which is estimated at nearly $45 million. City Manager Norm Gale says they had expected to receive word from Ottawa by now, but the uncertainty still remains.
I cannot speak on to what Infrastructure Canada is considering or what might happen downstream, and I can give no indication as to a timeline. We were hoping that we would know by January of this year. Of course, that time has passed, but we remain hopeful, and we look forward to positive announcement, hopefully, from Infrastructure Canada.
Another key item on the agenda is to vote to ratify Councillor Aldo Roberto's 5-day suspension for his social media activity. Council narrowly approved the penalty in early February, but not all councillors were in attendance for that vote, and Council decided to wait until all were present to finalize it. The decision can still be reversed.
Local residents were able to share their thoughts about the new zoning bylaw at an open house held earlier today. Some of the big changes include allowing additional residential units and backyard homes. The drop-in session at City Hall was attended by officials from Planning Services to answer questions. Residents also had the chance to fill out a survey to help the city better understand what the public is hoping to see with the new zoning bylaw. City Planner Jillian Fazio explains why they've held multiple drop-in sessions before members of council have their say.
Feedback from the public is really essential for the zoning bylaw. It affects everyone's land in the city and how we use it on the day-to-day. So hearing from property owners as well as residents in the area is critical to find out some criticisms and some praise for what we've done so far and what we can change.
Next Tuesday, a virtual public meeting will be held, including members of council.
The Sleeping Giant Brewery recently announced the final total for its 4th annual Craft Cares campaign. The initiative helps local restaurants and bars make a positive impact in the community by supporting charities and organizations.
Our grand total is $12,200.
Funds were raised from Sleeping Giant products sold at participating locations, including the newly released Craft Care Bear. 50 cents was also donated for every beer sold from a local licensee. 42 locations participated in this year's campaign, with more than $12,000 going to support 25 local charities. The campaign was extended to 2 weeks due to COVID restrictions. Sleeping Giant CEO Andrea Mulligan and Pro Kids coordinator Laura Daniele says the fundraiser is extremely important, and despite everything, they had a great response.
Before we opened Sleeping Giant, we all wrote down on little pieces of paper what we wanted for the brewery, and one of those things was we wanted to make our community proud. We wanted to make Thunder Bay proud. So this is just one of those ways that, we can say thank you to not only our community, but the people that are working hard to support different organizations in the community. We can say thank you to the licensees who sell our product and support us as well, and have some fun doing it.
We're absolutely thrilled that that Sleeping Giant Brewing Company does this event to support the community supports them, they support the community, and that's pretty much the whole philosophy around Pro Kids as well.
Mulligan says pre-pandemic, the campaign wasn't just held here in Thunder Bay, but all of northwestern Ontario, and even as far as Burlington. She hopes they can get back to that next year.
Sales are way up for a board game created here in Thunder Bay, thanks to a ringing endorsement from a well-known TV personality. Trey Parker, one of the creators of South Park, recently chose Summit as his favorite board game of all time. Vasilios Bellows has the story.
We got to get to the top of the mountain. We got to get back and live.
You're talking about
mansions?
No, Seven Summits game?
No, not Summit.
Summit.
It is Summit?
Number one is Summit.
Thunder Bay's own Summit was originally produced for board gamers in 2016, and it's now being praised by comedy legend Trey Parker for its cooperative and decision-making aspects. Parker's endorsement on a podcast about his top 10 board games caused sales to blow up, with over 400 copies purchased over the course of 2 days in the United States. Connor McGooey created Summit and said the experience has been surreal.
And then out of nowhere, my social media channels exploded with friends reaching out and sharing me a link to a video I knew nothing about, and it was a live stream where Trey Parker, the creator of South Park, or co-creator of South Park, named Summit as the #1 game of all time, which was a shock to me, and I think to most people watching, especially because it would have been released 5 years ago now, I guess. So it was crazy. It was super fun.
Summit already has 2 expansions, with plans currently to add another one as well. Along with this, McGooey has some even bigger plans for the future of the board game.
The idea 6 years ago when I created it was that Summit was going to be the first in a trilogy of games. So Summit being the first one, and then the second one is almost done, but not quite done the final testing yet. So that the plan was to push that one forward. But with the latest hype around Summit, it's actually forced me to go back to the 3rd expansion that I had started and really focus on getting that ready to go.
And with the easing of COVID restrictions comes the return of conventions. And McGooey says he's excited to get back out to those and share Summit with more board game lovers in Thunder Bay and across the globe. Vasilios Bellos, TBT News.
The Thunder Bay Museum has kicked off its annual March Break Camp, where kids between the ages of 6 to 12 can spend the week learning and having fun with a variety of activities. Each day of camp will have a different theme, with the first day focusing on game shows, allowing the campers to prove their Disney knowledge with a game of Jeopardy! The themes for the rest of the week are around the world, inventors, and under the sea. The museum uses storytelling, gallery tours, and science experiments to keep the kids intrigued on a range of topics, while also making sure fun is at the forefront of all of their activities.
They absolutely enjoy it. We can just tell there's a high level of enjoyment from both the kids and the campers and our staff who enjoy interacting with each other and doing a lot of fun activities. We really enjoy seeing the kids run around the museum and having a lot of fun.
Due to social distancing protocols, the camp has a limit of 8 kids and is all booked up for the rest of the week.
Well, it looks like they were having a lot of fun, and